Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2013 Spirit of Innovation event. We are going to get started now so we can get you out of here on time. Please join me in welcoming Ron Haar.
Thank you, Jed. Welcome to Lucky 13, the 13th annual Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce Spirit of Innovation event. We are so honored to have a big crowd today, and thank you for being here again this year. So our invocation is going to be given by Pastor Josh Woodrow of the Bridge City community, and after that, please remain standing for the national anthem sung by Mandy Berger. Pastor Josh Woodrow.
Seek the peace, wholeness, and well-being of the city, and pray to the Lord on its behalf. For in its prosperity, you will find your wholeness, comfort, security, and well-being. As we honor innovators from within our community today, I want to challenge all of us with these words. Whether you're a faithful public official, an imaginative entrepreneur, a trustworthy business person, or simply a citizen of Chattanooga, seek wholeness and peace for our community. Let's pray for our city. Almighty God, as we gather this afternoon to celebrate innovation, encourage us to act justly as we seek the prosperity of our city. Remind us to love mercy as we pursue the well-being of our community. And finally, Lord, give us boldness to walk humbly before you and our neighbors so that we work and innovate for peace and wholeness in Chattanooga. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. And we'll give you a little time to enjoy your lunch. But as you do, please pay attention to the screens behind you and take note of our sponsors. And we will resume the program in just a few minutes. Please continue your meal as we call the meeting to order. We have a full agenda today, and I think some things you're really going to enjoy. And as you know, at the Chamber, we really like to get you out on time, and it's noon straight up, so we're going to go get started. I'm going to warn you in advance, it's going to be tight. So it may be just a couple of minutes after 1 we finish today. We have so many great things to share with you. Of course, we can't have an event without sponsors, and I'd like to call your attention to the screens as I read the names of our generous sponsors who made this meeting possible today. Our platinum sponsors are EPB Fiber Optics, Nova Copy, Sandler Training, and Volkswagen Chattanooga. I heard some cheering going on in the corner. That's allowed. It's okay. That's good. Our gold sponsors are Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, Chattanooga Technology Council, R.J. Young, Sound Force, TVA, Unum, YP. Our silver sponsors are Access America Transport, Chambliss Bonner and Sofel PC, Chatham, Cohutta Banking Company, DeCosimo Certified Public Accountants, Henderson, Hutchison and McCullough, IBM Corporation, Info Systems Incorporated, Lattimore Black Morgan and Kane, Malden and Jenkins LLC, Miller and Martin PLLC, SunTrust Bank, Tandus Flooring, and the Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union. And of course, many of you got here today because of the generosity of our media sponsors who got the word out about the event. They are Brewer Media, Cat Country 95.3, Chattanooga Times Free Press, Clear Channel Media and Entertainment, US 101, CMC Publications, that's Cityscope and HealthScope magazines, Coffee News, Cumulus Media Chattanooga, 107.9 Big FM, Fairway Outdoor, Partners for Christian Media, J103, The Pulse, WDEF FM Radio, Sunny 92.3, WRCB TV, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, WTCI TV, PBS, and WTVC News Channel 9. Please join me with a round of applause for all of our sponsors. Okay, now I got to do a quick commercial. I want to remind you it's time to reserve your booth for Expo Chattanooga, our region's largest showcase of local products and services. Reserve early to get your choice of booth locations. And I also want to call your attention to something new and innovative. I mean, we're here to talk about innovations today. And we are going to create an interactive program for today's event which contains the Spirit of Innovation videos and other information about today's event. And also, you can go onto our website and make your reservations for your booth at the Expo. And you can find all of that at ChattanoogaChamber.com. So I encourage you to go to our website and do that. Now, it's my pleasure to turn the microphone and the podium over to Ronna Renee Jackson, who's the Executive Director of the Chattanooga Technology Council, to present the Early Innovator Award.
Thanks, Ron. Chattanooga Technology Council is a nonprofit that has been serving this community for nearly 10 years. Through our programming and outreach, we connect resources with opportunities, we support and fund technology education across the region, and we celebrate technology and innovation. Certainly, we're most happy today to be celebrating the Early Innovator Award finalist. Since 2005, the Tech Council has been honoring recipients for their innovation and ingenuity. Tech Council has been a part of this program, and at our early finalist luncheon last week, we had an update from Zach Hubbs, who won in 2008, and his product is an innovative cleaning fiber, and it is the backbone of his company now that is called Cushion by Design. We're pleased to be able to continue this tradition of excellence and innovation with our 3 finalists this year, Colometrics, Learning Blade, and Sovi. Please turn your attention to the screens to see a short video and learn more about these outstanding companies.
Thinking Media is an educational software and curriculum developer that specializes in online applications that improve education, workforce, and literacy in our country.
Learning Blade is our latest online system that is designed to engage students and expose them to STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and math, and also expose them to academic standards. Learning Blade is unique in the STEM space because we are really trying to take STEM out of the science classroom. The way we have designed Learning Blade allows it to be utilized across the spectrum of academic classes. So the benefit to Learning Blade is the fact that we can now expose students all across the country to educational opportunities in terms of careers that they might explore, such as being an engineer, being an architect, or being a technician. And students quite frankly, aren't always exposed to these careers when they are in a school setting. Learning Blade lets them be exposed to those from their desk at their school.
So Coulometrics is an advanced energy storage consulting company. We work on everything from materials for batteries. We work with a lot of companies in the US to develop materials for batteries and supercapacitors. So one of the problems that you have today with smartphones is the battery is very limited. We've developed a supercapacitor which piggybacks on top of the battery, which prevents those high power pulses from causing the phone to shut off. The next step for us is, we're working right now to raise money to install a manufacturing operation in Chattanooga that would allow us to build these very thin devices that would be packaged with batteries.
Stop the madness when it comes to cutting and pasting marketing documents for translation. It's not a unique request. We hear it from our customers all the time, especially as we go out and speak to them about their communication challenges. In fact, this customer asked us to take our popular Sovi Smart Engine and integrate it into a product by Adobe called InDesign. InDesign is used by tens of thousands of designers around the world. We took the InDesign product and the Sovi Smart Engine and created a plugin. We then beta tested it among our own internal translators. In fact, today we are translating using the InDesign plugin a 1,300-page, highly technical HVAC catalog. This product will be available for general release shortly around the world. And just think, it all started with a customer saying, "Stop the madness."
And now I would like to ask Dr. George Yu to join me on stage. Dr. Yu was last year's recipient. However, he was unavailable to be here for this celebration, and his company, Variable Technologies, is home of his innovation called the Node Sensor, and they're a finalist in the Spirit of Innovation Award today. So he's had a lot of continued success and exemplifies what happens with early innovation. Thank you so much. And now, Dr. Yu, it's time to see who will be your successor. Let's see.
It's Coulometrics.
Congratulations to Coulometrics. Thank you so much. You have 2 minutes to give your speech.
Okay. Very nice job. Well done.
Thank you. This is cool. Thank you. Thanks to the Tech Council and the BDC and I know I'm forgetting one there. The Chamber. We really appreciate the honor. Chattanooga's been a really good atmosphere for us. Really helpful, really great place to be, and we hope we can, go forward from here and do some cool things. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. And now back to Ron. Thank you, George.
All right, we've got this show off to a good start, already handing out prizes, and congratulations to our finalists. Also, we can't do anything that in this community without the tremendous support of our elected officials, and I'd like to recognize them and their representatives that are with us today. Representing Lamar Alexander, we have Evan Freeman. Evan, if you'll stand up. And then representing Senator Bob Corker, we have Claire McVeigh. We're always honored to have Mayor Jim Coppinger here at our head table. Mayor, thank you for being with us. From the County Commission, we have Chairman Larry Henry, Chester Bankston, Jim Fields, and Warren Mackey. We could almost have a meeting here. Maybe y'all just finished one, I think, but thank you for being with us today. And then we have the Chairman of the City Council, Yusuf Hakim, is with us today, and always glad to have you with us, sir. Thank you. So, if you think you've been hearing about this event for a while, you're right. We started this, the Chattanooga Chamber started this Spirit of Innovation in 2001, and I'm proud to tell you it was America's first community-based innovation award, and it's grown every year since the Chamber started it. The goal then, as it is now, was to promote the importance of innovation by publicizing our region's most creative and cutting-edge companies. And we've come a long way over these 13 years. Few business people need to be persuaded of the importance of innovation these days, but defining, finding, and describing innovation remains an important but elusive process. That's why we're fortunate to have the engagement of many individuals and organizations who contribute their time to the process. In the program at your table, you'll find a complete list of the Spirit of Innovation judges and previous recipients. They have put a lot of work in today's event, and I would ask all of them to please stand and be recognized, and I hope you'll join me in a round of applause. After all that work and you're still sitting and eating together, that's encouraging. Thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Mike Dunn, CEO and Chairman of Sherman & Riley, which received the Spirit of Innovation Award last year. Mike, come on up.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, and as a past recipient of this award, I want to thank the Chamber. You know, this is really a rare thing in the country, and I've been fortunate enough to be involved in innovation in a number of locales and a number of companies, and this is something truly special in the city of Chattanooga. If you think about why you innovate, you know, passion, necessity, observation, wanting to change the way something is done and make it better. You know, when I look back at our receipt of this award last year, we're a privately held company. We had been investing significantly in innovation, and it was our desire to change an industry. We're involved in the power industry, and it's a situation in which men and women put their lives on the line every day, and we wanted to create safer solutions for them. But the innovation was at the root of something else. It drove our employees to a new level of pride as a result of us regaining a #1 position in our marketplace amongst all of our competitors. We were an 85-year-old company, maybe I guess you could say that had lost its way a little bit. And with this innovation, we developed a whole series of products that are now changing an industry. And what that's led to is the acquisition of our company this past year by Textron Corporation. 33,000 employees, $13 billion in sales, owners of such companies as Bell Helicopter, Cessna Aircraft, and now Sherman & Riley. So innovation led them to want us. They're the newest participants in the city here in Chattanooga, and I couldn't be more proud of the fact that we've brought a new citizen in the form of Textron to this fine community and to help and support us in our growth going forward. So I congratulate each of the nominees this year, and I look forward to hearing who the winner is in 2013. Thank you.
Mike, thank you very much, and congratulations. You know, last year I asked you if I could drive your vehicle. Now I can ask you for helicopter rides and lots of other things. Yes, sir. I saw that thumbs up. Thank you. So now I have the pleasure of announcing the Spirit of Innovation finalist companies and ask that they stand as I call their names, and we'll recognize them. They are all winners by being nominated for this award. This year's Spirit of Innovation finalists are Card Monroe Corporation, Quick Q LLC, and Variable Incorporated. Please join me in congratulating them on their nomination. And now, once again, turn your attention to the screens, and we'll tell you more about these companies with a video.
Card Monroe Corp. CMC developed ColorPoint, a new carpet manufacturing method that has been described as the most revolutionary innovation the industry has seen in the past 30 years. Using this patented technology, carpet manufacturers in North Georgia and around the world are now producing vivid, high-definition, multicolored carpet styles at a much lower cost and faster speeds than ever before. Prior to the invention of ColorPoint, the process of producing multicolored carpet involved methods that buried yarn to reveal only the intended color. These techniques blurred colors, restricted design capabilities, and reduced wearability when compared to carpet produced on a CMC ColorPoint machine. Now, thanks to ColorPoint, carpet manufacturers can achieve pinpoint stitch accuracy and 100% color density by not burying any of the yarn. First patented in the U.S. in March of 2012, carpets produced on CMC ColorPoint machines are quickly becoming the preferred style for hospitality applications, commercial office spaces, and senior living facilities. In a matter of only a few years, ColorPoint machine sales have already contributed millions of dollars to the regional economy and created over 150 jobs for CMC, its suppliers, and its customers. The technology was recognized for new product innovation in a global manufacturing competition in 2012 and has also received the praise of several industry publications.
QuickQ LLC developed a guest management platform for the restaurant industry that fuses business intelligence with operational technologies to enhance the overall dining experience. Established in 2011 by a native Chattanoogan, QuickQ replaces traditional host stand tools with one simple iPad-based application. The technology enables restaurants to notify guests that their tables are ready via text message, as well as provide them with more accurate wait times. This gives customers the freedom to wait where they want, and restaurants the opportunity to tailor the dining experience and to customize their interactions with guests. Using the QuickQ app, restaurants can integrate floor maps and guest lists to optimize table rotations, manage server assignments, promote specials, and provide menu information from links in text messages. Restaurants can also use QuickQ to share information with servers, such as guests' dining preferences, special occasions, and other items of interest. In the short time since it was established, the QuickQ service is already in use in more than 150 restaurants, including the Terminal in downtown Chattanooga. The company currently employs 20 local people and is continuing to develop its next set of guest-facing tools.
Variable Inc. developed Node Plus, a handheld powerhouse of wireless sensor technologies that delivers information to smartphones and tablets. This palm-sized device accommodates a number of sensors which perform tasks ranging from air quality and motion detection to sophisticated color matching. The Node Plus brings the functionality of multiple handheld sensor products into a single, affordable device. This technology allows consumers to save money by selecting the sensor add-ons of their choice and interchanging them across the Node Plus platform as needed. The product also eliminates the need to record information manually by wirelessly relaying real-time sensor data to the user's smartphone or tablet. Developed in 2012 by Dr. George Yu, a former NASA subcontractor and current incubator tenant, the Node Plus is a Chattanooga-made product whose market potential has already generated a great deal of national attention. In January 2013, CNN Money named the Node the coolest gizmo at CES, the largest consumer electronics trade show in the world. Most recently, the technology was named a finalist in Walmart's Get on the Shelf contest, in which customers vote online for products they want to see sold in stores.
Let's give them all a round of applause. I don't know about you, I just get really excited when I think about things like that being developed right here in Chattanooga, creating jobs and people that you run into and see on the sidewalk who are making a real difference in the high-tech world that we live in. So, you know, I think that they're all winners, and it's very hard. We've debated whether or not to even pick a winner, but we decided we needed to let the volunteers do that. So all are winners, and we're going to make sure that we promote all three of these companies in our outbound PR about Chattanooga and about the great things that occur here. But we did pick a winner, and they've put it in an envelope for me, and I promise you I have not seen this yet. And this year's winner is Card Monroe Corporation, CMC. Please come and join me on the stage.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much. Unbelievable. You know, we'd like to, of course, begin by thanking Ron Har and the Chattanooga Area Chamber. What a wonderful job they have done. You just look at the vitality, the business climate that we have here. What a rich blessing for all of us. To the selection committee, thank you for your kindness. You know, 60 years ago, 90% of the carpet made worldwide was woven on a loom, and very few people could afford it. If you had it in your home, it was probably in your living room, and no one was allowed to go in there. Then the tufting machine, today, let me say, that 90% of the carpet made worldwide is made by the tufting process. The significance for Chattanooga is, and for you today, is that 3 blocks down the road, the tufting machine was birthed and developed. And as I said today, 90% of the carpet made worldwide is made by the tufting process. And it definitely has its roots and has been a part of the Chattanooga economy for several years. I'd like to recognize Wilton Hall, the lead inventor and innovator for ColorPoint, and also Bill Chrisman, who made it easy for our customers to use ColorPoint through not only the deeply embedded software, but also the operator interface. But also the 180 dedicated and loyal and energetic folks that I get to work alongside of every day. What a blessing that is in both our Hickson and Ringgold plants. I'd like to remember and to recognize the late Joe Cobble, 92-year-old Lewis Card Sr., 83-year-old Roy Card, whose shoulders in which we are standing today as a company. For 60 years, they've dreamed about having a tufting machine with this kind of patterning capability, and they're just amazed today to see that. Last but not least, our customers around the world, and we have sold ColorPoint machines into 6 countries already in the short time we have been promoting it and offering it. But to thank our customers for catching the vision, the styling capabilities of the ColorPoint machine. Thank you for this honor. Thank you for being here today. And we receive it all to the glory of God. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank goodness that didn't break when it fell over earlier. But congratulations to Card Monroe. Isn't it great to know the long and rich history of their company, and they continue to be innovating today, many years later. I think almost every Chattanoogan is proud of being the flooring capital of the world in Greater Chattanooga and in Dalton, and it all started with the invention of that technology and innovation here. What a great story for us all to know. One of the reasons for the Chattanooga area's tremendous success over the years is that so many people apply such tremendous vision and energy to making our region even better. Today, I invite Christina Montague and her partners to the stage to make an announcement about a new effort they are undertaking to enhance our entrepreneurial environment and position Chattanooga for new economic successes in the future.
Well, thank you, Ron, for this opportunity. As we're gathering back here on stage, I have a large group of women behind me, which I'm very proud of. Chattanooga has always been a very entrepreneurial city, and in the past few years, we've seen a resurgence of startup activity and the development of dozens of high-growth ventures like you've seen today, particularly in the area of technology. From the Gig Tank, the CoLab, the Lamppost Group, all of these are testament to the resources our city has developed for those with the drive and passion to launch their own companies. But where are the women? This is the essential question a group of women leaders in banking, venture capital, higher education, and economic development here in our city has started asking almost 2 years ago after the first Gig Tank. Did you know that nationally, women lead fewer than 2% of companies with over $1 million in revenue? Only 10% of Inc. 500 companies are women-led, and less than 7% of privately held companies receiving venture capital have a female CEO. Our answer was to develop a women's capital angel fund to support the growth and development of successful companies led by women. Growing women investors as well as entrepreneurs, our goal is to raise a $2 million fund by spring of 2014. Our fund will be unique in that it's focused on women investing in women. Our vision is to make Chattanooga and the Southeast the best place for a woman to invest in or start a company. We challenge every business leader here in Chattanooga and throughout the Southeast to consider how you might play a role in this effort. Through capital investments in women-led businesses, to mentoring and connections for women entrepreneurs, or to highlight female role models, such as Sheila Boynton today, to encourage more women to innovate, take risks, or jump in to grow a successful venture. My partners here on stage represent women deeply committed to this effort and uniquely poised to take on this challenge. Stephanie Crow is our chief advisor and one of the co-founders of the Jump Fund. I have Leonora Williamson is a former consumer goods executive and current management consultant. Corey Allison is a successful entrepreneur and management consultant. There we go. Betsy Brown is with Cumberland Trust and has been in private banking. Shelley Prevost is one of the only female, or is the only female partner at the Lamppost Group, a venture capital incubator here. And Tiffany Robinson, who has been at River City up until last week, is launching her own new company, Waypaver, which is focused on talent, recruitment, and retention of millennials. We want to give a special thanks to the Chamber for allowing us to make this announcement today, and particularly for inviting Dr. Fraze, who herself is a great inspiration to women about the power of innovation and technology. And we had a wonderful conversation with her this morning with a roundtable group of women. So we thank her for being here. I'm looking forward to her speech today and for her to inspire and challenge us all to go further to innovate and create in this sector. Thank you all, and I hope you'll join us on this journey.
Thank you, Christina, and to all your partners, and we're very honored to be able to help you make that announcement at this event today. How appropriate. You know, we look forward to working with you. We are, as most people know, we manage the Hamilton County's incubator on the North Shore, and we've been doing that for many years, and we're proud of the successes that we've had there, but we think working with you that will grow even greater, and that we'll have even more female representation and innovation in this county. Speaking of bold visions, I now have the pleasure to introduce you to our main event. Our keynote presenter, Dr. Catherine Fraze, is here today from IBM. But before I say any more about her, I want to give a big shout out to Tim Ensign. He's the Chattanooga IBMer who lives in Chattanooga, and I think everybody in town knows him. And he had a big hand in helping us invite Dr. Fraze and make all the arrangements. So please join me in thanking Tim for his work on this event today. The more we learned about Dr. Fraze after Tim's call, the more we knew she would be the perfect speaker for today's event. She is a scientist with a degree in chemistry from Bryn Mawr and a PhD in materials science and engineering from the University of Pennsylvania. In 2006, she was elected to the National Academy of Engineering, the most prestigious body of its kind in the United States. She is also one of the thought leaders in IBM research, and had involvement in Watson. Some of you remember that, the computing system that won on Jeopardy! But perhaps most relevant to her presentation today, Dr. Frase is very involved in the IBM Smarter Cities initiative. So just for a moment before she comes up, please turn your attention to the screen for a short video about this initiative.
For the first time in history, more than 50% of the people on the earth live in cities.
How do civic leaders educate the young, keep their citizens safe and healthy, attract and facilitate commerce?
The city is a system of systems. The more we understand how those systems interact and share information, the better we can help the civic leaders to make decisions.
It's really where these systems touch each other that we can discover new ways of improving our cities.
In Rotterdam, it is important for us to know when heavy rainfall will occur. For example, to warn people to avoid certain roads, which most certainly will get overflown when the rainfall comes.
In a smart education system, we can know how schools are performing and redeploy resources so that kids in lower performing schools have every opportunity to achieve at the same level that their peers are in high performing schools.
Bringing energy efficient lighting solutions to the market can help cities to save money, but also free up resources and means to reinvest in their future.
One of the things we're trying to do is consolidate information about several events at the same time into a common command control center so you can determine where the best use of assets is.
Information technology can help a municipality like Parma to give better services to the citizen.
Our goal and mission is to take people from A to B in the most comfortable and efficient way. If this is with the car, okay with the car. If it's with the train, with the train.
In my city, patients can consult their doctor through the internet with web cameras on a very high quality level.
These ideas are having a real impact today.
And if we take smart ideas from one city and share them with another, then eventually all of our cities will become smarter.
We can build a smarter planet, city by city.
Dr. Frase has been very busy in her visit to Chattanooga yesterday and today, and we appreciate all of the time that she's given us for multiple side meetings and meals. And we're just so honored to have a national leader in innovation with us today. If we have time at the end of her remarks, we will take some questions, so be thinking about that. But please join me in welcoming to the stage, Dr. Catherine Frase from IBM.
You know, I always have this experience where you sort of wonder who it is he's introducing. It's like, who is that woman? Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. It's my first trip to Chattanooga. It will not be my last. And I thought that I might start with some observations. What have I observed or seen or learned about Chattanooga over the last 24 hours? Because I think some of what I'll say will be perfectly obvious to you. But some of it may be so obvious that you don't actually notice it. You know, a little bit like you don't notice that your kids are getting bigger because you see them every day, but you notice it in your nieces and nephews. So allow me, if you will, to be that visiting aunt for a couple of minutes. So here are some things that I've observed. There is an unusual, and I'll say that again because it is truly unusual, level of citizen engagement and public-private partnership here in Chattanooga. It may be obvious to you. People talk to me about it as the Chattanooga spirit, the Chattanooga way. It's how you live and breathe, and well, of course it's like that, where it's Chattanooga. You may not realize how unusual that really is, that it is at the heart of something that many communities actually struggle with, which is how do you get the engagement of people's hearts? How do you get people to care about what happens in your city? For example, the young Oriental lady that you saw in the video for some time ran our research operations in Singapore. She's a great friend of mine. In Singapore, we did a project that says that with appropriate data and analytics, we can predict a half an hour ahead of time where a traffic jam will occur. Well, that's sort of cool. But then what do you do? Because if you tell everybody that same information, we're like small children playing soccer. You know, we follow the ball, we don't play our positions, right? So you won't have a traffic jam on this road, you'll have it on the next parallel road. So if you wanted to have people actually spread out onto many roads, or spread out in time, you know what, I'll wait a half an hour, or maybe I'll do that phone call from home. Or take public transportation, how do you communicate to citizens in a way that on average you're affecting the behavior of the population, because that's what actually gets to the result you were looking for. You know, we'll never be able to control what any one individual does. Those of us with spouses or children know that you cannot control what any one human being does, but can we in aggregate get people to care about the outcome and work together on it? The other thing, one of the other things that I've observed is that you recognize that it's hard work to make this be true. You know, there's a lot of discussion today about innovation, and I'll talk about it too, but it doesn't fall from the sky like magic. You know, it takes real investment. It takes investment in infrastructure. The GIG project is one example of that. It takes investment in other kinds of infrastructure, like the incubators, like the venture capital groups, like the JUMP fund that we just heard about. And it takes deliberate policy decisions about what shape you want your city and your area to have. Right? I was really struck by this mixture of manufacturing and service industry and big companies and little companies, and a decision taken that says we're going to fill our downtown with local, interesting things rather than with big box stores. Right? I spent a lot of time in the state of Vermont. There are two adjacent small cities who took very different approaches to that. Burlington, Vermont took an approach that said, no box stores, all local. Their downtown looks very much like the downtown of Chattanooga. It is fun to hang out there because there's just interesting things to do. Williston is the next town next door. In fact, Williston was never a town. It was a bunch of farmland. They decided that their future was to invite in all the big chains. Very different results in terms of quality of life and the shape of those communities. So I want to reflect back to you how impressed I have been with what you've already accomplished, and then I want to talk a little bit about the future. All around the country and all around the world, cities want to be smarter. Now, I always pause there because honestly, who would want to get dumber, right? But it's smarter in a couple of different ways. They're smarter in terms of basic things like water and traffic and affordable housing, problems that are enormous in the developing parts of the world, but are actually pretty significant even in the established parts of the world. But also, cities are looking to differentiate themselves, to get smarter in how they make decisions. You know, if you go in most cities, now it may be different in Chattanooga, but in most cities, if you go to someone in a city agency and say, could you make a better decision if you could see some of the data from the guy next door? The answer is always yes. And when your follow-up question is, great, and will you share yours with him? The answer is almost never yes, right? And there are good reasons for that. There's different measurements, there's concern about loss of control and data integrity, and there's all kinds of good reasons. And the answer is that actually you don't need to see the individual data points. What you need to be able to see is the features that matter to you, right? So, for example, if you were the person involved in making permits for some big event, right? What you'd really like to be able to do is you'd like to look at that area of the city. You'd like to know whether the traffic patterns change. You know, do I care if it's 2 o'clock on Tuesday or 4 o'clock on Thursday? Is the roads department planning to rip up that street in that week? That would be a bad time to have a big event. Parenthetically, this stuff does happen. There was a huge concert in New Jersey. There was a storm, and so they had to delay the concert by 1 day, at which point the bridge that was the main exit from the arena was closed for construction. It was a nightmare. Anyway, I digress. But by extracting the features from the data that are about time and space, right? What's the traffic pattern look like? What are the other agencies doing? I can make a better decision, the event planning person, without actually ever having to have anybody let go of their own data, right? So shared decision-making, informed decision-making across agencies or across borders. We've done a lot of work, for example, with the City of Dublin on regional planning because they have some significant issues in front of them. Things like, what happens if you have to charge for drinking water, which they have never done in the City of Dublin? How do you do that without having riots in the streets? Things like that. There's also a lot of focus, there's been a couple of mentions today about millennials. There's been a lot of focus on how do cities differentiate themselves going forward. People have choices about where they live. We're increasingly in a flat world. We're increasingly in a mobile world. We're increasingly in a work from anywhere world. So how do cities differentiate themselves in a way to make that rising pool of talent want to live in Chattanooga? I think one big piece of that is, in fact, the GIG project. Many of us have kids of a generation that think that that kind of connectivity is at least as important as heat and light, and it might be as important as the air that they breathe. I think maybe they look at their phones before they breathe, but it does in fact matter. The climate here, not just the wonderful quality of life attributes, which I will say you guys have down to a fine art, except for the current temperature, which I am told is entirely my fault. It arrived yesterday with me, and it's leaving tonight with me, so it must be my fault. So I will come back to see the proper weather of Chattanooga. Thank you very much. Truly, it is a wonderful place to live, and you know that. And that matters, too, to how people choose where they want to be. But I also actually meant the business climate, a climate that is enabling people to start new things, a climate that is encouraging existing businesses to create new things. If we think about innovation as being the creation of value, which is really what it is, it's the creation of business and societal value, sometimes based on an invention, and sometimes not, right? Sometimes it's a new business model rather than a new widget, right? One of the things that struck me with the award recipients, past and present, that we heard from this morning, are some of them are new companies creating a solution to a problem that many of us maybe didn't even know existed, but it did exist, and they're doing a wonderful job of solving it. Others are existing companies that are aggressively reinventing themselves. This is something IBM has some experience in. We are a very different company than we were 102 years ago, or even 25 years ago. We've changed our products. We've changed our global footprint. We've changed how we interact with our clients. We've changed how we do our internal processes. And that is this restless reinvention of a community, of a process, of technology is at the core of what innovation is around. So I think there are a number of things moving in Chattanooga's favor. There were a couple of challenges that I wanted to kind of put out there. One is a question of scale. How do we scale the new businesses in Chattanooga so they become both on a national scale or an international scale relevant for their own good and for the good of the Chattanooga area without losing this magic, which is this conveniently sized, big enough to be a city and small enough to be a town feel that this area has? How do we continue to support the existing large employers, right? What does that look like? And then how do we ensure going forward that the whole community comes along, right? that the whole talent base or the potential talent base of the Chattanooga area is brought along, that both adults and children have the skills that they need to fill the jobs we think are coming and to invent the jobs we don't know about yet. One of the things when I spent some time at EPB yesterday, and we were talking about the GIG project and the degree to which we can imagine a few things that will be done with it, and we know we can't imagine everything that will be done with it. And the analogy was drawn to the rural electrification project. And in those days, there were some things that everybody thought would happen when everyone had electricity in their houses. And there were a lot of people who didn't quite figure out why they needed it. They were just fine without it, thank you very much. But so much of our lives has been based on that fundamental infrastructure and capability in ways that we certainly never imagined 70 years ago. So I'll close, I think, with a story about IBM and about Chattanooga and about innovation. Talked a little bit about this restless reinvention thing, and IBM tries really hard, as does Chattanooga, to recognize and reward people who are carrying us on this reinvention and innovation journey. It is true that these awards that were just given out are quite unusual in that they're not company-sponsored, they're community-sponsored. They're not for any person we read about in a newspaper that we thought was really cool. It's for local innovation. That focus on local vibrancy is in fact unusual. Inside IBM, we have lots of measurements and rewards that have to do with financially driven kinds of things. But there are some on the technical side as well. And the #1 award or recognition inside IBM is to be named an IBM Fellow. There are roughly 50 fellows. We name a half a dozen a year, and it's a lifetime kind of award. We have about 400,000 people in the IBM company, so it is really kind of special to be a fellow. 50 years ago was the start of the Fellows program, and T.J. Watson Jr., who was at that time the CEO of IBM, there was a big dinner, he gives a speech to announce the program and announce the first handful of fellows. And he talked about innovation, about this interesting combination of creating value and inventing, and it's that combination that is the magic. And the example that he used for innovation was to reference a conversation that he had with Paul Kruse in Chattanooga the prior week, and to reflect on Kruse and the rest of kind of Edison's boys, and that their fearless attempt to do things that not only did nobody know if that stuff would work, nobody knew why they were bothering. Who needed most of the things that they invented, and yet where would any of our lives be without that, right? And so this notion of taking the risk, creating an environment in which innovation can happen, I want, hats off to what you've accomplished so far. And I'm excited to watch the journey forward and to see how IBM might support you in that. So with that, I think I'll close. And I tried to be really good about not telling so many stories that we ran out of time for questions. So it's your turn.
Thank you so much. So I will help point out into the lights for hands or anyone who has a question for Dr. Frase. She was so nice to talk about Chattanooga. You have to ask her a good question. Here's one over here. Yes, ma'am. And she's getting a microphone. That'll be good.
Test? Okay. Yeah. Dr. Frase, you spoke about GIG project, and we live in this wonderful city where we have the fastest internet speeds in the Western Hemisphere, I guess. And I wanted to just ask you specifically, how can we utilize and take advantage of this powerful platform in a more day-to-day basis? For a small group like us, the Jump Fund, how can we utilize that better?
So I think there are a number of things, right? And this is where I pause because I've been here exactly 24 hours. And so the chances that I have seen everything that's already going on is like zero, right? So the chances that I'm about to say something that sounds perfectly stupid because it's already going on, I just ask you to forgive me in advance. But I think that there are a number of things. So one of the things that speed, and it's not just the speed, it's the ubiquity. It's that we can have the same kind of capability in a rural town in the greater Chattanooga area as in downtown. So I think one big piece of this is kind of the inclusivity of it, because it greatly expands the number of people who could play, if they want to play, in this game. And I think that's really important. I think it's really important when we look at education, right? We had a quick conversation yesterday about, how do you reach small schools or small school districts where you can't hire one of every expertise you wish you had in the school? Well, part of what the bandwidth gets you is a chance to use, shouldn't wave my hand so much, is a chance to use technology to augment what you're capable of doing in person. But I also think one of the things that all that bandwidth gives us is a chance to be much more real time. So some of the things that are happening in other communities, who I will say do not have as good coverage as you do. They have great coverage, and then they have black holes in between the pools of coverage. I live in a community like that. True story, some of you have heard me tell it. Between my house and my office, which is not a very long distance, and I live in a very prosperous county of suburban New York, there are 2 black holes that kill any mobile call. Now maybe if I had the Coulometrics thing, I'd be okay. But maybe it's a surge problem, I don't know. But I do know that when I'm trying to take a call from the car, I now know where I say to people, excuse me, I'll be back in 4 minutes. Right? And you don't have that here, right? Anyway, I digress. But one of the things that's happening in other places is using humans to do a better job of reporting real time what is going on. Voluntarily, this is not some spooky thing, right? But voluntarily saying, here's what's going on in my community. Here's the missing manhole cover. Here's the missing street light. Here's the traffic jam that nobody's reported yet, right? But what's interesting is that in the communities that are, I think, at the front edge of this, there's 2 pieces to that, right? One piece is the city government, the city agencies getting better insights, right? But another is the ability for the city then to engage with the citizen, also much more real time, right? Thank you, I heard you, I'm listening, I'm responsive. That piece of, if you think about one of the trends in millennials, right? A lot of what we see in the retail space is it's all about me, right? And I'm willing to share information about me in exchange for the value that you give to me, because actually it's all about me. Right? I have 4 sons. I get this. It is all about them all the time, not as a collective, as individuals. But and so I think some of that bandwidth real-timeness is a really interesting thought, right? That there are things that we can be doing in how the city operates. There can be things that we're doing. I was really struck with some of the finalists. They really are solving problems that I had never thought about. And I think that that's a piece of this story also, is that they stepped back and said, why is it that everybody's phone battery doesn't last as long as it should? Why is it that your battery said you were just fine and then suddenly you're dead? It's like, wait, where did those bars go, right? But they're solving that problem. They're transforming, making carpets, for goodness sake, right? So it's a long answer, but I think part of the answer is I don't know the answer. I think that real time and individual and kind of the power of the crowd are elements of some of the new things that we'll see invented. Sorry, Corey, long answer.
one over here. Rose? We'll get you a microphone.
Oh, and then I was supposed to repeat the question anyway, but I was so long-winded you figured out what her question was.
You won't even have to.
What recent innovation has made your heart beat fast? What are you excited about that you've heard about recently?
I'm thinking, because there are a bunch of really cool things out there. I'm trying to think about the best example. So I'll put it in a category, and then maybe I'll tell one story about it. In general, I am really excited by this whole notion of big data, which, it's not just massive databases, right? It's about data flying at us faster than we know what to do with it. It's about how do we connect all different kinds of data, It's about this belief, kind of, that we all have, that if only we could interrogate all that data, we'd be smarter. It's that kind of stuff. And I do think that by connecting the dots across kinds of information that we haven't connected before, that there's a lot to be done. I'm very interested in education right now, but the example that I'll tell is actually from healthcare. And it's a set of innovations that say, can you in fact figure out, based on information about all of us, what makes us similar in the context of a specific disease, right? We're all individuals. We all fill out the little checklist when we go to the doctor, right? Most of us, thank goodness, are healthy, and we fill out very little of it. And so we have this huge data field with very few data points in it, right? So if you wanted to have a patient come in, I'll give a specific example in a second. If you wanted to give a patient come in and you know how to treat that individual compared to the vast average of other people who have walked in the door, can you do it? And the answer is yes, and I can be very long-winded about this. But let me give an example of a project that we did a couple years ago now. And it was a collaborative project with a bunch of hospitals in Europe. And it's now become an open source thing, so anybody can get at it from any place. And so here's what we did. We took the genomic information, the DNA information, not about the patient, but about the AIDS virus that each patient represented or had, and how they were treated and what the outcome was. And we did a bunch of analytics to say, yep, there are cohorts that are more like each other than they're like some average. And for each of those groups, here's the best way to treat them initially. Because as with many diseases, what you do first really makes a difference. Okay? So now when a patient comes in, he can be mapped to a cohort based, again, on the virus, not the patient, and a recommendation is made to the physician of what combination of drugs to give him initially. We've now run this project for, I think it's 6 or 7 years, and you can, in fact, statistically see a difference in the health outcomes of the people who had the benefit of the analytic support and the ones who got the usual average. We've gone on to do it in other places, but I love that example because it's still the doctor who's going to make the decision. It's still up to the patient to actually do what he's told so that the drugs are effective. But the notion of data and analytics to inform the best thing to do for each human, rather than treating us all as if we were the same, gets me excited. The other thing that gets me excited is the notion of what can data do for us in the open. So we do a lot of work in Dublin, Ireland, and the Irish government has always had a belief that entrepreneurship is how they're going to grow their economy, and goodness knows they're going through a rough patch right now, but they still believe that it's true. And so for the last 18 months or so, we've hosted an open but secure website, cloud-based website, where the city decides what data to post, purely to see what could be enabled in startups and entrepreneurs. And so there are dozens of little companies that are coming up with new things to do, largely based on linking data sets that in the past, one sat here and one sat over there. Some of them have made it through the second round of venture funding. Some of them have turned into applications that the City of Dublin itself is using to make its operations better. But this notion of, if you make the information available, that all kinds of new things can happen. Okay, are we done?
I'm going to protect you from a very short connection you have to your air flight home, because we loved your being here, but we won't be here against your will if you miss a flight. But we are very honored to present to you a donation to the Hamilton County STEM High School made in your honor for your appearance here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, what a cool thing. Thank you very much.
So thanks to all of you for being here today, and I hope you'll leave today and think about innovation in your own world. And what's important, I think, for all of us to know is that it doesn't happen overseas or across the state somewhere else. Chattanooga has innovation in its DNA, and it's fun to celebrate that today. We again congratulate all of our honorees today. And finally, I'll ask you to please stop by some of the exhibits that are on the other side of the curtains so that you can learn more about our innovative companies. Thank you for being here and have a great afternoon.